Hi guys, welcome to Vintage Van Life. So we're done doing what we need to do in Sussex and Hayling Island, so we're heading back to Pembrokeshire today in the Reliant. We got a full tank of gas, 250 miles to go, it's bright, and I'm wearing sunglasses.
Let's hit the road.
That was a Reliant Scimitar. Has 4 wheels and a V6. We're back. Right everyone, excuse my appearance, I've just got out the shower. So one of the funny things, do you remember in my episode last week I was talking about how damp everything was getting? Well, inside the bathroom, the ceiling in here is absolutely bone dry. Even though it's been very, very wet and very, very cold, because neither myself or Jolie have been in here, we haven't been exhaling. So in the cupboards, everything is bone dry as well. So really, it goes to show that a lot of this, almost exclusively, all of the moisture is simply coming because we're exhaling it all the time that we're in here. I think it's time for a nice cup of tea. I hope we haven't got powdered milk, Jolie.
Not today. This is budget though.
I'd like to ban powdered milk.
Let's get this stuff.
Great Scott!
Geez, Doc, this is heavy. Is Alex ever gonna get round to fixing his van?
I don't know, Marty. We're gonna have to go back to the future.
Hey, Doc, don't you mean forward to the past?
Of course, Marty. Now it all makes sense. Great Scott!
Right, it's time to see if my distributor is going to work. So I'm going to set up a little experiment here with the battery and wiring to see if there's a spark coming off of it. But before I do that, I need to check that the coil is working. Right, so this is my setup to test the coil. It may look a little bit crazy at the moment, but essentially I've got the positive HT lead here going to the battery. The negative one is going to the spark plug, and then from the negative side of the coil I've got this loose wire. So when I complete the circuit by earthing it, we should see a spark, both on the wire, but hopefully on the spark plug as well. So my coil is definitely working. There was clearly a spark there. So the next thing I need to do is incorporate my distributor into that and see if there is a spark coming from there. So this is my new wiring experiment. So I know the coil works. So I've now connected the distributor from my Reliant, not the camper one, to prove that this wiring experiment actually works. So this also has electronic ignition like my camper. So when I turn the rotor arm here on the distributor, you can see the spark plug, which is just earthing out on this metal here, is sparking very efficiently. Now this is the distributor from my camper van. It's a SEV distributor, so quite different to the Lucas ones, which is why they're not interchangeable, sadly. It's connected up exactly the same as the last experiment, but when I turn the rotor arm, there is no spark whatsoever, meaning that the electronic ignition unit in here has failed. Very annoying. there we have it. My electronic ignition unit has seemed to have let me down. Now in the classic car community, it's pretty much divided straight down the middle. Half will say electronic ignition is a great conversion. It bypasses those fiddly, unreliable points. You get a much stronger spark, good for starting in cold and wet weather, even gives you better fuel economy. And the other half say electronic ignition is absolute rubbish, it doesn't last, it breaks down, and why would you change the original ignition system for something that people used for decades, you know, going way back. So why do I favour electronic ignition? You can see I've fit it to various vehicles of mine if you've seen my videos. So essentially, one of the first vehicles I ever owned was a 1955 BSA Bantam, a little two-stroke thing, and it was extremely unreliable, and it was constantly breaking down on me due to the points and the condenser and all of that kind of thing going wrong. And at the time I wasn't very mechanically minded, and I was paying a mechanic to fix it every time, so it's getting very expensive, and this was a vehicle I was intending on using as an everyday vehicle. And he said to me, hey, why don't you put electronic ignition on it? So we did, and after that conversion it completely transformed the motorbike. And in the 10 to 11 years that I owned that bike and used it, it never once broke down due to an ignition failure. So I had it in my mind that electronic ignition is a really good idea, and I converted my Morris Minor to electronic ignition, completely transformed it. Very reliable. However, for some reason, I may have just been unlucky. With this van, I don't think I've really even covered more than 500 miles, maybe a little bit more than that, and it's already broken on me. Not good at all. So I'm gonna have to see whether or not it's worth going back to the old analog style points, or buy another electronic ignition unit and hope that it works. If any of you have any thoughts on that, let me know in the comment section below. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. We got a full tank of gas. Stop laughing.